Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So this is my second time recording the video because I recorded myself talking to my laptop for 20 minutes straight, and then it turned out the video had no sound, so I have to do it quickly. So on the bright side, this time I know much more about what I'm talking about because I have done it already once and I should be able to do it quicker. So we're going to talk about Storm Pyramyd X. It's a new champion added along the Sorcerer Supreme. So obviously Storm is going to be a mutant champion. Her abilities, base mechanics is she has two base kind of like mechanics. She's going to be gaining a lot of prowess and Tempest. Tempest are selected in pre-fight ability screen, so you can pick and choose in between one or the other. There are two Tempests, and they give you different passive abilities and special attacks, gain some bonuses based on which Tempest you're in. There are a couple of ways how you can enter both Tempests at the same time in the fight, which is going to be also a key of kind of maximizing her damage and utility. Unfortunately, it does seem like Storm to a degree will be a champion that requires special 3 before going off completely or playing on low health. We're going to get back to that a bit later, but her prowess abilities are going to be what's really going to be making her damage go crazy. Additionally, base mechanic is she gains a prowess whenever her or the opponent feels a bar of power, and then obviously when you use special attack, those prowess are used up because they do, not used up, but they do have a set duration. Right, so when it comes to prestige, she's somewhere up there along top 20, so she could be considered as a prestige option for many of the accounts. She isn't quite in top 5 or top 10, I think, but it's not far off, so she's a decent prestige champion. When it comes to 6-star prestige, I do not know exactly where 1300, 660 ranks among the best, but it is quite high, so she could be a prestige option for sure. And so let's get over her strengths. While Storm's Ice Tempest is active, she has one of the strongest glancing abilities in the game, a 60% chance to cause all incoming basic attacks to glance, and obviously when the attack do glance, they have 50% reduced damage, they cannot crit, and they do not have any ability accuracy. So that's annoying. That's about as high of a glancing chance as an Ant-Man, and depending how tricky her animations are on the rest of her abilities, I think the good comparison here would be on our two most dominant early Wade champions against Spider-Man and Nightcrawler, versus Spider-Man had overall smaller chance to glance, which would be Ant-Man, but it triggers frequently, but Nightcrawler, even though he had higher chance to evade, has a way how to shut down that evade, as in like if you force him to change stances. Now Storm also has a way how to shut down this glancing, so whilst you're facing Storm, you will be able to disable the glancing if you are coming in prepared, but that means that Storm is going to be one of those defenders that you have to go in for prepared, knowing what you're doing. It's not going to be as in you just walk in the fight and hope to finish it well. You need to know who you're using, why you're using, and how the effects work. So definitely do make sure to educate yourself on Storm Pyramyd's X abilities, or she is going to be a nightmare for you to deal with. Anyways, next strength, stun. While Lightning Tempest is active, she has a small chance to stun the opponent on hit. Stun provides windows for Storm to either reset her combo to gain more power or to charge heavy attack for additional powerful prowess effect. If fighting opponent who purifies stun debuff, Storm will apply passive stun instead. Now again, these are relatively significant changes to and some new additions to the contest. So first and foremost, that stun chain train is effectively going to work like Gwenpool. When you hit the opponent, you have a small chance to apply a small stun effect, and then you can carry on hitting them further and further. So obviously you're going to want to max out Stupefy Mastery to increase the stun duration, and the stun debuffs, if opponent purifies the stun debuff like Kingpin, Agent Venom, I believe also Vision Arcus and Elsa, I don't know, yeah, Elsa as well. And then you apply passive stun instead, which cannot be purified in exchange, so you will get like that chance of an opening. However, that still doesn't really answer the problem of Limber, because Limber, when you face off using Storm offensively, is going to be a huge problem obstacle, because of these stuns will mess up the timing like they do with the Gwenpool quite often, and then you kind of think whether you have enough time or not, and then Limber is going to constantly get triggered and re-triggered. So this is a cool ability, but it comes with its downsides, and most importantly, be extremely careful of nodes with Limber. I will immediately say that those will probably be some of the trickier fights for Storm. Energy damage. All of Storm's attacks are energy damage. If fighting opponents with lots of physical resistance, Storm will cut through them quickly. That's fair enough. That's just a status change. It's not great, it's not bad. It's different. It does have some upsides and downsides. But let's move on to her weaknesses. Power Lock and Power Drain. If Storm is affected by Power Lock or Power Drain, her Tempests are removed and she can no longer gain prowess. When fighting against Storm as a defender, removing her Tempests are key to defeating her. So here we go. We need Power Lock or Power Drain champions. Obviously, the fact that her prowess effects are actual buffs will also feed Mystic champions and their Mystic Dispersion. So when you're facing off against Storm, as it mentioned here, Nullify also can be used because you can nullify the prowess buffs, and even though you don't disable the Tempest, should never reach the 6 prowess, which is going to be the land kind of mark where you do not want her to get, because then she can gain passive unblockable and you're going to have a harder time, because if her special attack animations are difficult to fully dex, then it's going to be a nightmare to deal with if she has 6 prowess active. But at the same time, the fact that these buffs are actual buffs and not passive buffs will open Storm to be completely destroyed by the whole plethora of champions, such as I don't know, Morningstar, Dr. Doom, pretty much any Mystic with good Nullify and maxed out Mystic Dispersion, especially if you have added Power Drain and Power Lock abilities. So she will have a fair share of kind of like all bad matchups, and that's going to be kind of like the key to fighting her. For instance, on lines for defense, if you know what you're doing, if you're bringing in the right champions, I take that Storm is probably not going to be too difficult. But if you face her unprepared, let her glancing be active, then you're gonna have a lot of problems. Okay, so low health. Okay, so her health pool is low because glancing compensates for it. Disable glancing, she's gonna go down quickly. Cool. So here are her actual abilities based on a maxed out 5-star. Storm's basic attacks deal energy damage. Cool. Storm has 1400 energy resistance. That's also good. That can be useful here and there. If the opponent purifies a stun debuff, it's replaced with a passive stun. Fair enough, discuss that. Pre-fight ability Tempest. So here we go. By default, Ice Tempest is selected. If selecting a different Tempest in pre-fight screen, it becomes a new default. Default Tempest can be switched once per fight. Okay, so basically you pick a Tempest, you stick to it until you want to change it up as and when needed. When Power Locked or Power Drained, Tempests are removed for 8 seconds. So if you can make sure that you have frequent access to Power Lock or Drain, then she's basically never going to have Tempest active, and she loses vast majority of her abilities, including glancing, and that's going to be relatively easy to deal with her then, because she gains no promises if there are no Tempests active. Activation of Tempest is unaffected by ability accuracy, fair enough. Ice Tempest gain immunity to Cold Snap and Frostbite, so she does have some immunities available to her, which is useful. Unfortunately, won't help on Freezer Burn, because Freezer Burn, the main thing you're worried about is the Incinerate. Incoming basic attacks have 60% chance to glance, so that's going to be the default active one, so she's going to always have active glancing at the beginning of every single fight you face her in every single quest, so yay. Lightning Tempest decrease the potency of incoming shock effects by 100%, so basically gives you close to shock immunity. Well, basically you have shock active, but you take no damage from shock, so you can trigger your willpower. And each active prowess adds 2% chance to stun the opponent on hit for 0.9 seconds, max 16% chance. So you can be more aggressive and you can stun more opponents. But remember that that stun ability she has can be a downside against Limber and some other matchups. When knocked down, if not already active, Storm activates her alternate Tempest for 12 seconds. Duration's paused during heavy attack and special attacks. Now here is a very important line that basically means that you do not want to knock her down. So it means you do not want to spam your special attacks or use champions that spam special attacks or champions that spam the heavy attacks, because that will activate the second Tempest, give her additional abilities, and will let her gain prowess twice as fast, because she's going to gain a prowess for each Tempest active every time either champion gains a power, so she's going to amp them up really quickly. So if you do have to knock her down with a special attack, then probably after you have knocked her down, you want to stay away from her and kind of like wait out till this 12-second window expires. It's very important information when you're facing off against Storm on defense. Offensively, this is not going to be too useful, because typically in higher end content, if you get knocked down, you also get knocked out. and you do not want to do that. Only kind of interesting exception here, which I could see possibly as a very kind of risky strategy, be if you apply Alliance War attack boost of indestructible 3 hits, basically eat a heavy attack on purpose by consuming one of those indestructible charges, and then you can immediately access both your Tempest. But that seems like a very wasteful strategy. Still, would be cool if somebody actually showcased it and did it, and yeah, that would be quite interesting. Either way, prowess. When either champion fills a bar of power. So there we go. Each Tempest generates 1 prowess, increasing the special attack damage by 40%. The first 3 prowess buffs last indefinitely. Additional prowess buffs last 10 seconds, max 12. And here is like the key of her power and damage, because 40% is a big prowess effect. Additionally, she can get up to 12 of those, and first 3 are permanent, so it means that when you're within the fight, she will always have pretty much at least 3 prowess buff active, arguably 4 if you kind of like just fill a bar of power at the very minimum. 4 prowess bars, 4 prowess buffs already will increase your attack by 160%. That's a major increase. You can stack up to max 12. In order to do that, I assume you will need to have both Tempest active. And that would be 480% special attack increase, which is huge, which will definitely generate some insane numbers, some cool videos, and some damage caps are going to be hit. So do remember that all the champions, unfortunately, in this game currently who generate that insane amount of damage are crippled by Kabam and their limits in Labyrinth and their limits in Abyss, because outside of Labyrinth Abyss, it's not really worth to sacrifice any pieces of utility for high damage, because the opponents would die anyways. So that is going to be another problem. Just like Proxima Midnight, I fear that Storm will have no kind of real home to live in. She's going to be flashy, cool champion that does a lot of damage, probably and somewhat similar to Sunspot, but she also seems like to be a champion that either has to have low health or special 3 active, which we're going to get to, in order to do this massive damage. So I don't think she's going to kind of like be cooler in, you know, community than Sunspot is. And I also think she's going to be able to generate a lot of damage, so cool Realm of Legends videos, but how practical it's going to be, it still remains to be seen. If Storm has 6 prowess effects activate during special attack, gain a passive unblockable for 1.8 seconds, so that is going to be a problem on defense. If you do not power drain her, or disable the Tempests, or nullify the prowess effects, then if the special attack animations are difficult to evade, that's going to be a massive problem, because she's going to go unblockable and you're going to get wrecked. So that is a bit scary. Again, I fear that Storm is going to be a version of Proxima Midnight / Guillotine 2099, where champions have incredible potential for crazy amount of damage, just no actual piece of content where to land it down. So you can see what's happened there. Developers note something to watch out for here is if at any point during a special attack Storm hits 6 prowess, she will become unblockable. If Storm is sitting on 5 prowess, then pushes her opponent over a bar of power during special attack, she will gain 6 prowess and become unblockable midway through the special attack. So that is a scary thing, something to keep in mind if those animations are tricky. So a lot of Storm's value and annoying abilities on defense will depend on her animations. Heavy attacks. Charging heavy attack creates a dormant prowess which charges from 0 to 100%. Launching a special attack while charging heavy attack converts this dormant prowess into a passive prowess, increasing special attack damage by up to 100% based on how long the heavy was charged. Now this is cool ability, because this is something that we have been doing and many people have been calling quote-unquote cheating or unintended gameplay mechanics, stuff like that, when we charge a heavy attack with magic and chain special attack to it, or when we charge a heavy attack with Sunspot and chain special attack to it, so on and so forth. There are a bunch of champions where that is a common strategy, like Hyperion and so on and so forth, Omega Red even. Now they actually made ability based on it. So what you have to do is basically parry, start charging your heavy attack, and then launch a special attack while charging heavy attack. So that's kind of cool. I hope it works kind of like also after the first hit of the heavy attack. Also, this potency of this ability definitely is severely affected by the heavy attack animation. Okay, so special 1. Inflict a passive shock for the duration of this attack, preventing the inflict a passive slow debuff for duration of the special attack, preventing the effects of unstoppable and lowering away the ability accuracy by 100%. Opponents with natural class advantage cannot be slowed. But it's only during a special attack, so it's going to make sure that these special attacks connect and these special attacks can be unblockable, so keep that in mind. Ice Tempest. So if Ice Tempest is active, each hit that contacts the opponent generates 1 prowess buff, increasing special attack damage by 10% for the remainder of the special attack. Additionally, the final hit inflicts a passive cold snap, dealing 1949 energy damage over 14 seconds. So fair enough. Basically, you get a bunch of small prowesses and also a good chance that attack is going to go unblockable, and opponents can go unstoppable mid-special attack, and so on and so forth. Though, again, it all depends on the special attack animation. How many hits it has, how difficult are they to outrange or dodge. But it could be a really, really scary special attack if you're facing off against Storm. Special 2, when toads meet lightning. I cannot believe they are so lame they included that line from X-Men original movie, man. That is one of the most ridiculous quotes by Halle Berry? I think so. Either way. Yeah, okay, when toads meet lightning. Each hit inflicts a shock debuff, dealing 1949 damage. Again, depends how many hits there are. Could potentially be massive amount of shock damage, and if these shocks are purified, then you deal a burst of shock damage instead. So aside from being fully shock immune, you're gonna take damage if this connects. So fair enough. Again, she hates champions that purify stuff, I guess. Lightning Tempest. So basically, level 1 is the Ice Tempest, and level 2 is the Lightning one. Shock damage is increased by up to 90% based on opponent's current power. Okay, more power they have, more damage you do. Additionally, each prowess reduces the opponent's defensive power rate by 25%. That's cool, because you can launch a shock, you can launch your level 2 when opponents are like a 2+ bars of power, because that often is kind of like a breaking point in a fight where you're forced to bait out a special attack before you can actually do something, and that would make you lose momentum. But in this case, you can still drop a massive level 2 even if opponent is close to 3 bars of power. I really like that ability. I wish we would see it in more champions, that like opponents getting less power. Special 3, if both Tempests are already active, Storm increases her attack rating by 3655, which is about 140% of Storm's attack. So that is a solid damage increase, fair enough. After this special attack ends, Storm activates her alternate Tempest for 35 seconds. This duration is paused while charging heavy attack and launching special attack. So this is going to be one of the key ways how to unlock the kind of like OP mode, because then you can activate both Tempests and you're going to be gaining prowess twice as quick, and you're going to be dealing more damage, and you're going to have more abilities on your special attacks, and you're going to have both immunities, so on and so forth. So unfortunately, it does look like that Storm does need that special attack quite badly in order to kind of like go ape on opponents and drop some insane numbers. And I definitely do not like champions. I definitely do not support champions at their core, which are extremely reliant on level 3, like Darkhawk, even Mysterio. That's one of the biggest problems I have with Mysterio. Okay, signature ability. Well below 30% of her maximum health, Storm activates both Tempests. Now, with this signature ability, it's quite interesting because I do not understand how this will scale with the signature level. I suppose the percent of health is what's going to vary, and at Sig 200, at max Sig, it's 30%, and at Sig 1, it's below 5% or something. I don't know, because there's nothing else that can scale. But that being said, Storm activates both Tempests. Also, it's kind of cool, it's good. Now, it's a problem while you're going to be facing off against Storm, because if you're unable to remove the Tempest or nullify, she's going to be gaining all the promise buffs in double the rate and going to have all of these abilities, and that could make her an absolute nightmare to kind of finish off. Effectively, she would be a champion version of Unblockable Finale, if you're unable to remove Tempests or nullify the promises. At the same time, when you're questing, for instance, when you are in Abyss of Legends and stuff like that, you don't typically mind being below 30%, because that is what you typically do. You revive and you push forward. So that's kind of an interesting ability, because outside of like Alliance Quest and Alliance War, you do not mind being on relatively low health, I guess. So that could work out decent. And keep in mind, if both Tempests are active, then she's immune to like Shock and Cold Snap as well. So I don't know, could work out decent. When fighting against Storm, be prepared for final 30%. Yeah. Okay, so let's discuss quickly synergy bonuses and my final thoughts. So basically, with Sorcerer Supreme, Storm, opponent nullifies suffers -50% ability accuracy. That's kind of like whatever. Could help against like Pilfer regeneration nodes, because those have been annoying. With Bishop, prowess buffs lasts 4 seconds longer. That probably will be one of the key synergies to make sure she drops crazy amount of damage. Every 15 with Bishop's effect, every 15 seconds generate a power gain buff granting 20% of power, so it's not too massive power gain buff over 5 seconds. While this power gain buff is active, each prowess increases special attack damage by additional 3%. That's kind of cool because he can get a lot of prowess active. And this could make Bishop even more interesting. Now, Bishop has his cheese version of team where you use 2 bishops and then double up on his synergies and then basically start each fight with like a level 2 and a lot of damage. But that takes up entire synergy slot. There might be something interesting with Bishop and worthwhile with Bishop if you can increase his damage even further. Okay, Under the Weather is Storm. Alternate Tempest activated by Storm's special 3 lasts 8 seconds longer, so that's useful, that's good. But you do not typically want to bring in Storm for synergy anyways, because she's bad. Storm gains up to 100% shock, cold snap, and incinerate a resistance based on stored power while suffering from shock, cold snap, or incinerate debuff. Storm's special attack damage increased by 30%. This could be quite interesting. You cannot use her on like incinerate lanes flat out because you start with 0 power and she has no resistance. But when you're facing some stuff like Thermostat, for instance, where you gain that incinerate buff later on in the fight, that could be quite worthwhile, I guess. Still don't think it is too practical because you start with like no power and then you get nothing effectively, but I don't know. And Kingdom of Wakanda, so Black Panthers and Killmonger, they get longer bleeds for 30%. Killmonger with 50 or 30 bleed stacks, whatever he has, could get a decent damage increase by that, so hey, that's what he needs. Spider Guild with Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Await ability accuracy is increased by 30%, and after activating Await, inflict stun for 2 seconds, then go on 12-second cooldown. So basically, Spider-Man's kind of have an inbuilt version of Mesmerize. However, again, offensively, I don't think it's going to have too much value. Because, yeah, don't think it's going to matter much. Mutant Agenda with Bishop, Wolverine, Colossus. So Bishop has double synergy, so you can have Mutant Agenda and that specific synergy for prowess buff, so that's kind of cool. Mutants landed strikes during special attacks gain 12% attack rating, so that's cool, even more damage. So Bishop's probably going to be one of the key synergies for her. Recommend Masteries, Parry, Stupefy, and Block Proficiency. Cool. Now, what I think about Storm. I think she's going to be... Well, a lot of how bad she is going to be will depend on her special attack animations, because if you will be unable to fully evade them properly, kind of guaranteed in level 1, level 2, if the special attack animation looks like, for instance, Nick Fury or Green Goblin or a War Machine, like a burst of bullets or beams or rays, then it's going to be a really annoying defender. If you can actually dex some beams and stuff like that, then it's not going to be too bad. So I know you can evade like Green Goblin's specials and stuff like that, but it's hard. Most people don't, and yeah, that could make her really tricky. Now, additionally, she's definitely going to be one of those champions you have to be prepared for. You need to know how to fight, kind of like Korg probably, or whatever, because you need to be able to either nullify or power control to deal with her, because otherwise I think there's going to be a really annoying time with the glancing and blockable special attacks, huge damage, potential to stun you, and she's going to be tricky if you're not prepared. When it comes to actually use her offensively, I unfortunately think that there isn't too much utility there. She seems to be relying on stun quite a bit and parry stun with that heavy attack and that Gwenpool-like ability, so Limber is going to be her enemy. She doesn't have bleed, poison immunity, or any of the more dominant ones. Cold snap immunity is cool, but it's relatively situational, and shock immunity is useful, but again, it's not so dominant in the game. So she doesn't seem to have much, if at all, utility, because that slow debuff is only for duration of special attack, not your regular attacks, and so on and so forth. So access to shock and cold snap debuffs is kind of cool though, so definitely worthwhile that. She's gonna be useful here and there, but I doubt she's gonna be anybody's kind of like main questing champion. I do predict that when she launches, there's gonna be a whole bunch of crazy CCP videos, crazy damage showcase videos in Realm of Legends, some really insane yellow numbers. But I think she's gonna suffer once again from the same illness like Proxima Midnight does, Sunspot even to a degree, because Sunspot doesn't have a single piece of content where he can fully unleash his damage when at like rank 3, 6-star or whatever, or even a maxed out 5-star. You get these damage caps, 50k in Labyrinths, 85k in Abyss, and it's annoying because Kabam creates these champions that produce that insane amount of damage and then makes them ordinary and hardly worthwhile, where other options move ahead, because basically you have a chance with level 2 or whichever, 480% prowess plus 100% prowess, or 580% prowess from the heavy attack, plus a synergy, plus whatever else she has. So there's going to be some insane damage, some yellow numbers in several 100,000 from a level 2, I expect. Probably something like Sunspot or Proxima Midnight damage. That is what seems to be in papers. But again, take the damage aside, because it's not going to be too easy to ramp her up, I believe, for that damage. Or if you can, then you're going to have to be below 30%. Take the damage away, and the champion doesn't seem to have too much utility, and that's worrisome. So I think she's gonna be popular and somewhat crazy when she comes out, but after everything kind of quiets down, I don't think she's gonna be as in demand. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's gonna be extremely easy and quick to play, and maybe she's gonna amp up damage extremely quickly. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys, is she gonna be a champion with no home like Proxima again, or is she just gonna be useful and crazy good champion for questing? Last thing that I quickly wanted to note, yeah, defensive I talked, offensive I talked. I guess that's about it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Will she be crazy useful, or just another champion that drops some insane yellow numbers? I'm personally definitely more excited for the Mystic champion, for the new Sorcerer, new Doctor Strange, because this I think is kind of like a modern rehash of an old Storm that could do a lot of damage, but not much else. Either way, that will do for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a second take, so please do leave a like, and I'll catch you guys soon. See ya.